story follows a man who seized the throne and became a powerful king. No one could stand up to him, and he showed no one any mercy. His ruthlessness was unrivaled, and he continued to conquer and conquer, spreading his power far and wide. Until one day, when this great leader meets his end, a voice inside his head tells him to seek the path of light in his new life, and he gets reincarnated into a new world as a baby named Arthur. Met by loving parents right after opening his eyes for the first time, Arthur is confused about what was going on. But after the people before him introduced themselves to him as his parents, he realizes that he was born again. His parents, Alice and Reynolds, took really good care of him. But that still didn't mean Arthur was pleased with his new arrangement. Having no control over his bowel movements was especially embarrassing for the once mighty ruler, and his mother praises him for a job well done and cleans him up. He found this new body to be a prison, feeling as if he were trapped in a never-ending nightmare. However, one day he witnessed something even more bizarre. His father was able to smash through solid rock without using any weapons, and his mother possessed the ability to heal without using any kit or supplies. This was due to the existence of magical powers in this world, powers that allowed him and his colleagues to take down giant beasts with their bare hands. Arthur realized he must learn about these quickly if he were to survive in a society where everyone had powers. Despite the various frustrations this new life had brought forth, the freedom to be able to sleep without any worry about getting attacked out of nowhere was not one of them, as his mother cradled him to sleep. Some months pass by, and Arthur is already able to crawl. As he crawls over to a mirror, he sees his tiny infant self, still not used to it. Now that he had obtained some degree of control over his limbs, Arthur didn't waste time learning about this world, as he executed a perfect escape plan from his crib while his mother wasn't watching and went over to the bookshelf. From there, he picks out a book with information about this new world. The continent Arthur was born on was called Dicathan and contained 3 kingdoms. The Darv Kingdom, a subterranean nation of dwarves. The Elenoir Kingdom, a nation of elves deep within a forest. And finally, the Sapin Kingdom, where he was currently living. It was the most populous of the 3 kingdoms, with its residents being humans. It also had a monarchy similar to what Arthur knew from his world, but it differed in the respect that their kings inherited the throne, whereas in Arthur's world it was seized or taken forcefully. The technology of this new world was rather primitive compared to Arthur's world, but there was a reason for that: magic. The source for that was believed to be mana, and the ability to control it was largely hereditary. On average, only 1 in 100 had the ability to do so. As Arthur tends to a sudden butt itch, he learns about the 2 broad applications of mana: augmenting and conjuring. Augmenters were people with the ability to use their mana to enhance their physical attributes, such as strength, speed, and agility, while conjurers could project mana and control it however they wanted. The key to controlling this power was the mana core. Most people here get their powers from the onset of puberty or in their late teens. By focusing the disparate mana around your body into a central focus point called a mana core, a person becomes a mage. Arthur was familiar with a similar concept in his previous life, Kai, which was to become aware of your internal power, control it, and then release it. Using his previous experience and the knowledge gained from reading about it, Arthur already starts focusing mana into a mana core at this age. But his practice gets interrupted as Alice picks him up. She then asks him if he had a surprise for her. Surprise meaning poop, but Arthur hadn't pooped this time, to Alice's disappointment. Or so he thought, at least, since he had done the deed unknowingly whilst focusing on his reading. Still considering his helpless infant body a prison, Arthur makes up his mind to gather power as soon as possible. With Arthur now 2 years old, his mother Alice writes about the joys of raising such a sweet and wonderful child in her journal. Although the fact that she had never seen him smiling in the past 2 years worried her a little. That's when she noticed Arthur and Reynolds outside doing something. Reynolds had given Arthur a stick and was showing him to use it like a sword. Alice did not like her little baby boy being taught such barbaric things when he just recently learned how to walk. As she gives her husband an earful, Arthur wonders if the marriage dynamics in this world were matriarchal. Visits to the town market were always Arthur's favorite thing, because through them he got to learn more about this world's weapons and technology, the various kinds of objects that didn't exist in his past home, and especially the chance to witness magic with his own eyes. Although this life was stifling and confining, Arthur did not mind the constant care and love he received from his new parents. Is this what having a family was like? Arthur didn't know that because he had grown up as an orphan in his previous life. Alice knew that Arthur was destined for greatness, having observed the book readings and the shift in attitude whenever they visited town. He was turning out just like his dad, excited to explore the world, but Alice preferred it if he lived a more simple, peaceful life. She takes him to the window, where he looks at Reynolds practicing. He raises tiny rocks after some serious concentration, which doesn't impress Arthur all that much. But after trying again, he is able to let out a powerful stump, leaving Arthur in awe. Alice then picks Arthur up and begins taking him to his crib for his nap. Wanting to read more, he starts pointing at the bookshelf and making baby noises to tell her he wanted to do that instead. Alice doesn't agree, but after some baby-style persuasion, she finally gives in and lets him do that. Among the things he had learned in the past 2 years of his life on this planet, he was most proud of being able to form a mana core by focusing his mana around a central point. As he concentrates even harder to make it stronger, an explosion occurs, blasting through the house. Reynolds shields Alice from it, getting burnt in the process. Worried about their infant child who was still inside when the explosion went off, the worried parents rush into the house. There they witness a strange sight. Their son, who was not even 3 years old yet, was able to control his mana to such an extent that he was able to levitate in the air. His efforts were finally bearing fruit, and this was a crucial step in Arthur's journey. Suddenly, the wreckage above him becomes loose and falls over him. Arthur tries running away, but his short toddler legs fail him, and he trips. Thinking it was all over for him, Arthur closes his eyes when suddenly he gets grabbed by Alice, while Reynolds throws the rubble away using his augmenter powers. He had forgotten that now he had 2 people who would do anything to keep him safe. Alice hugs Arthur after making sure he's safe. Tears start falling down her face and also Reynolds, who had almost lost their baby. However, Arthur is unable to understand what was happening. Why were they acting like this? They fulfilled their role and should be proud, so why were they crying? Arthur hadn't read about something like this in his books, nor had he experienced this in his past life. Tears start welling up in Arthur's eyes too as he hugs Alice and starts crying.